Hey, everybody, and welcome in. It's the Poor Man Fantasy Football League podcast. We're the fantasy football show that gives you a peek inside the life and times of our Dynasty League. I'm your host, Mike, and with me, as always, is my friend Andrew. And this week, we're actually going to do another session where Andrew and I share leagues, and we're going to do another analysis. We're going to randomly grab a team and then put our thoughts on it. So it is Wednesday night, June the 5th.
Yes.
School's almost out. Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, but how about yourself?
Oh, man, it has been a day. My both of my kids are sick. I'm feeling it now, the little buggers. And I don't want to be sick because you know what? When I get sick, it always hits me on the weekend.
Oh, there you go.
So it's going to hit me and I'm going to feel terrible over the weekend. Not when I want to have be under the weather. Why can't I be under the weather during the week when I can just take work off? Not personal time off.
I suppose.
Yeah. Anyways, it is June. The weather's nice. School's almost out. The kids are going to be off for the summer. Even though my kids are sick, they're very excited about having summer break. How about yours? Feeling the itch for summer?
Sort of, kind of, because she's grade 7, so she's got the exams and stuff.
Oh,
but she's done
first year.
The way they do it now is weird. Like I remember when I was in junior high, we didn't get time off in between exams. Like she has 4 exams. Like I think she starts her exams next week. And
okay.
She's got like 2 next week and 2 the week after. But she's got no classes in between. They can go to the school and study if they want, or they don't even have to go to the school.
That's weird. How are they not just doing all their exams in one day and being done?
Well, you do one day you do like LA, one day you do math, one day you do social, one day you do your science.
I remember doing all of my exams in 2 days like during school. Like you would you do these are exam days. You come in, these are your exam days and times. You go to the gym, you write your exam, and you move on.
Yep.
Wow, that's a lot of time in between. So they're allowing them to do a lot of prep.
Wow. How many kids are just sitting at home playing video games instead of studying?
Yeah, that's what they're doing anyways. But they're allowing them to have that to prep, whether they do it or not.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. How much weight do these final exams have for her?
That I don't. That I'm not. That I'm not sure. Because each teacher is different. Like I remember there was one of her classes. The teacher, I think one of her like just assignments was 30% of her final.
Oh wow, that's a heavy weighting.
Yeah. So it depends on the teacher and like what they're doing, all of that kind of stuff. So it's not like it's government exams or anything like that where they have it in grade 9 and grade 12. These are just the teacher's exams.
Oh, okay.
So
I was interpreting grade 7 as the first year you would have your departmentals.
Yeah, no, that's
from junior high. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's grade 9 and grade 12. But she did do a like a governmental part 1 thing for English where she had to write like an essay. And I don't know what percentage that was all about.
Okay. Yeah, the assignment seems really heavy weighted. I remember our departmentals, our year-end testing was always a big weight. So you could be amazing all year long, but you needed to pass that final exam to pass the class. If you didn't pass that exam, you weren't advancing, no matter how good you were throughout the year.
Yeah, I remember like our finals being like you had a final at Christmas time and then a final at the year end.
Yeah, that's because you broke it up.
Yeah, and the 2 of those were combined, I think, were 50% of your mark. So then the rest of your school year was 50% of the mark too. So you're right. Like if you could do really well all year long below the final, and then you still end up just an average mark. So
yeah, which is where I was.
And your daughter will be into that next year.
She will be at a crappy school because districts.
Yeah.
Boundaries, my friend.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's not belabor that one. Let's talk some cool football news.
Yes.
Our friend Christian McCaffrey re-upped with the 49ers, which I thought was absolutely crazy. He's getting paid $19 million a year now over the next 2 years. Wow.
But it's not long term, right? Like, so everybody now
Sure.
that's what running backs are going to get now. That you might get paid, but you're not getting more than a 2-year deal outside of your rookie deal.
But he's also aging, right? To me, he's at that mark of the cliff. So I'm like, hey, I'm happy he got paid. They're showing the investment in him, but that team's got to be struggling with cap space. Ayuk wants to get paid. Deebo Samuel's there. Brock Purdy's going to get paid at some point, right? Like that's
But with him only having a 2-year deal, they can budget out for the next couple of years, right? So
sure.
what they're saying is, I'll invest in my running back this year and next year, and then partway through next year, I'll start concentrating on my wide receivers because those are going to be an even bigger cap hit. You look at the ridiculous
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
$35 million a year.
Wow.
Some quarterbacks aren't even making that.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like it's I saw a thing online today that like the guy was just blasting Dallas. Like, Dallas, you screwed yourself.
How so?
Because you haven't signed any of your big guys yet, and now you're going to have to pay them $40 million, $50 million a year. And had you done like Philadelphia and signed your guys earlier in the year, you would have got them at a cheaper rate.
Okay, so you're talking CeeDee Lamb is going to cost them a fortune because Justin Jefferson cost the Vikings a fortune.
Exactly.
The bonus for the Vikings is the time that it comes to pay J.J. McCarthy, if he pans out and becomes their franchise quarterback, they don't have to pay Justin Jefferson anymore. So they could afford to do that. Yeah. Dallas can't. They've already got Dak, and Dak is going to need an extension. And they're already in those, hey, we're not sure if we're going to extend you this year. We might wait till the end of the year and then try and franchise tag you.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, you got CeeDee Lamb you got to pay.
Like, and they're even saying CeeDee Lamb might not even show up to camp.
Well, that sucks.
Like, if he doesn't get a contract, guys are speculating that he might not show up.
Well, there's always that off-season drama, right?
Yes. Yeah, there's always one player that goes through that every year.
Yeah.
But and it's too bad. But teams that didn't sign earlier in the year are now going to have to suffer because of the Jefferson signing, and because everybody's going to compare themselves to him. So we'll see what happens.
If I'm CeeDee Lamb, I certainly hope I don't have the ego where I think I can compare myself to Justin Jefferson. I would compare myself to Amon St. Brown and say, hey, look, you see what he got? I need better than that because I'm better than him.
Yeah.
But if Justin Jefferson says, okay, well, that's the ceiling. Here's Amon St. Brown. Put me right here.
True.
Mm-hmm. And I'm in for that. I think that would make sense. But, oh, well. Other than that, it's been an interesting offseason thus far with some of the signings. Some of the rumors of teams that have come out saying that they tried to trade for Justin Jefferson. The 49ers tried. Yeah. The Colts tried.
I believe the Chiefs tried.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that'd be deadly.
That was prior to the draft. Cincinnati tried because they wanted the old LSU kind of thing going on there. But, I mean, most of these teams didn't have the money to be able to seriously go after it anyway.
It makes sense that the Minnesota paid him what they paid him because of the situation they're in.
Yeah.
But what other team can afford to do that? It's so crazy.
Right now, the only other team that I could think of that could maybe even be in the ballpark would be like a Jacksonville, a Texas, an Arizona maybe.
The Tennessee Titans. But they signed Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. But even that's a ridiculous contract right there. Like, he's aging majorly. His skill is dropping off.
He's far removed from where he was after having his suspension.
Yep. and you're paying him all this money, just like Deshaun Watson,
which I'm still holding out hope that he puts away his dirty dick beaters and just plays football.
Yeah,
pardon my language, but
yes, it's just, you know what, that just seems to be a trend. Guys that get suspended for a year or guys that sit out for a year, they're just not coming back to what they were before.
Yeah,
it's if you're sitting out because your ego won't I guess pay your paycheck or whatever, however you want to put it, your ego won't let you play. Your skill drops off, and you're not going to recover, and you don't deserve the money then.
No.
That's why, I think, and you and I have talked before about it. If a guy is going to sit out because he doesn't want to sign the franchise tag, or he doesn't like his contract, or what have you, I wouldn't sign him to a long-term deal anyway. I would sign him to a 1 year. Prove it.
And we did see that. Saquon Barkley didn't get he was franchise tagged, refused to sign it, got a 1 year deal. Josh Jacobs did the same thing.
Yeah, and the guys went out and he came back pissed off because they didn't get what they wanted and played angry, and now they're going to get paid.
They were paid. Well, at least Saquon was.
Yeah. But, he didn't sit out a whole year, though.
No, he didn't sit out a year. The only player I know that did that was Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. So these guys just don't come back from that, I don't think.
No, and I understand the franchise tag BS. You're not guaranteed anything after that.
No,
it's a 1 year, fully guaranteed contract. We're gonna ride you out, essentially ride you into the ground, and let you go. Enjoy the millions that you signed for this year, because good luck getting anything next year and the years after that, right? It's a high risk, low reward.
Yes.
So I understand for some players it's just not worth it to do the franchise tag.
Well,
all right, that's a giant mug.
Yes. It's called the mega keg.
The mega
keg? 750 mils.
Ooh.
So what's that? The three cups? No. Yeah, 250 mils to a cup. So 3 cups for the American folks.
Oh, right. I see what you're doing, the conversion. I'm just all right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're going here, but all right. Okay. Let's talk fantasy football. So last week, if you guys didn't check it out, Andrew and I decided to look at the Simple Man League, and we were each given a single team to become a temporary owner of. So if you were the owner of that team, what are your thoughts of that team, and what changes would you do to help improve it this year? And then where do you think its future is currently trending?
Yeah.
So that was fun. And we're going to do that again this week. But this time we're going to do it in the Crazy Man League, which is a 10-team super flex. The teams that we were assigned, we put on the spinning wheel. That way we're not duplicating or repeating with, because we have teams or league managers that are in multiple leagues with us. Yep. So I got Chervin, our buddy Sean from Poor Man League. He's in this league with us, so I got him. And you got newcomer that took a spot from a team that vacated. No one in sight.
Yes. Not sure what his name is yet, but
no, we haven't had a chance to really get to know him. So I am just going to bring up Sleeper. I have my notes. Do you have your notes ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not even going to bring up Sleeper because it slows my computer down, but I've got all my notes for my stuff. So
this is why you need to hardwire.
Yes.
Not Wi-Fi. Yeah. Okay. You want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
No, you go nuts.
Okay, folks. Here's what I got. I'm going to share a screen. I'm going to give you my Sleeper screen. And I like using the trade window because it puts everything in this nice little color-coded thing that you can all see. And so because this is super flex, and I got Chervin's team, these are the things that I really liked about his team. C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Justin Fields, and some But these are nice young quarterbacks. C.J. Stroud obviously being the bright spot, seeing what he did last year, knowing what could be the potential this year going forward. Very, very strong start to the team. You got Jaden Daniels and J.J. McCarthy. Okay, cool. You've got some good shots here to see what's going to go on, especially with Jaden Daniels. So, like what's going on, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Justin Fields in Pittsburgh, but because he's not a required starter, I think that's a great bench spot. See what happens, and then maybe he's going to slot in. So, love what's going on here. Then we get into Scary Town, because this is scary. Nick Chubb is the star running back on your roster, and I am terrified. Tajay Spears and Blake Corum are your next up. And then you've got a bunch of guys that are essentially handcuffs at best.
Yeah.
So if you need to start 2 running backs, you can see in the background here, my current roster. So 1 quarterback starting, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and then there is a flex spot, and then a super flex spot. So I'm not feeling the love here on the running back side. So, okay, quarterback's good, running back's bad. Wide receivers. Okay, Devonta Smith, Tank Dell, Terry McLaurin, Keon Coleman, Jermaine Burton, old man Michael Thomas, you can probably dump him, Chase Claypool, Calvin Austin, and John Mechie. Okay. I love the Tank Dell, CJ Stroud stack. I like Devonta Smith. Terry McLaurin, okay, not great. My biggest concern, these are good wide receiver 2s on their teams, but there's no wide receiver 1 on this team. Devonta Smith is your best proven wide receiver. Tank Dell is a sexy wide receiver 2 on the team, but he had on the field issues with staying healthy. So when he's on the field, I think he's going to be great. If he stays on the field, that's my big concern. Terry McLaurin, I think, is a nice backup. Keon Coleman, fingers crossed, he turns into something out there in Buffalo. If not, you always got Chase Claypool out in Buffalo, who's getting some good hype that he's going to make the 53-man roster. Good for him. Yeah. So I'm concerned with the lack of a star number 1 wide receiver and depth. So it's not terrible, but it's not good. Tight end is just a mess. Cole Kmet, who was number 7. So he was number 7 in our league last year. Hayden Hurst and Michael Mayer. To me, Michael Mayer is left for dead now that they just signed their big bow this year. So you're relying on Cole Kmet as your tight end, but he now has to
offense.
In a brand new offense with a brand new rookie quarterback with better talent on the roster ahead of you.
Yeah.
So, to me, as you can see, I'm also a bit of a junkie for tight ends on my side of the roster. I think this team needs some work. It's got some great building blocks. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now that we've gone through that, and I'm going to go back to my notes. So here's what I wrote: quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, headed up by C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, and J.J. McCarthy, plus Justin Fields. Lots of potential upside, but only 1 potential starter as of right now that we can trust, and that's Stroud. Running backs, missing a true running back starter and lots of depth. Players of note are Nick Chubb, Tajay Spears, and rookie Blake Corum. The rest are handcuffs at best. Shallow depth at wide receiver, no true wide receiver 1. Talked about that. Cole Kmet, tight end. That's where we go. Here's my recommendations. This team has a young roster, lots of potential here that they can work out, and I think we'll hit. So building towards contention. That's where I see this team at right now. It's building towards contention. If the rookie QBs and Keon Coleman hit, this is a team that's going to push for a playoff spot, but I don't think is championship worthy yet. They still need that. They need more running backs that they can rely upon, and they need to improve their wide receiver depth. I'd recommend selling off Nick Chubb and get whatever you can get for Nick Chubb. Trade him off and get whatever you can get. Ride out whatever whatever name value he has and move on, because I don't think he's going to do much for the team this year. He's an aging running back. See what you can maybe trade back for.
And he seems to deal with a lot of injuries too lately.
Well, he's a head down runner. Like,
yes,
great in his prime, but super scary right now to me, coming off the injury. But I realize this team has no depth. But I'd be looking to trade Nick Chubb to try and get anything. This team doesn't has a lack of assets and veteran players, which is why he has the assets he does. He traded away all his vets last year at the trade deadline, acquired a bunch of rookie picks, turned those into quarterbacks and Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
So he's in the process of that rebuild, and he's on a great prospect. So do I think this team's going to compete this year? No. I think they're gonna be a 50-50 team, and they're going to interrupt probably some good playoff pushes for other teams. I don't think Chervin's team is a playoff bound team this year, but he's on his way. I love the foundation where it's going. Target those running backs, add some depth at your wide receiver, dump Michael Thomas to the waivers.
Yeah. Oh, I fully agree with you on that.
And you got here, last questions are, what do I think? How many years until you think you can win the league? I think 2, earliest. And that's really going to be dependent upon
the deals
the deals he makes, but the talent that he has, right? So he's gambling on Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy. To me, those are the 2 biggest things you need to hit. If one of those 2 guys hits, great. You now have 2 reliable starters. And I think JJ Justin Fields can be great as your alternate backups. Jaden Daniels hits, okay, cool. Like, you know what? Good situation. Now your next year's draft, you're focused on trying to get that running back or that true elite wide receiver 1. If Keon Coleman rises to the surface and becomes that guy, lucky break, man. You're already a year ahead of schedule of where you could be, and now you can really pour your assets into trying to get that running back, whether you draft one or you trade stuff to go and get one. Yeah.
Oh, lots of potential there. Lots of potential.
Mm-hmm. So kind of exciting. Otherwise, I like the team, like where it's going. I look forward to absolutely crushing it with my team and repeating as champion.
Oh, we will see.
We will see.
Okay,
now
so I'll share my screen because I actually did open
Sleeper.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Is it going to let you?
Yep. There we go.
You are.
But it took you and I out of it for some reason. But
no, it just pushed us off to the side. We're still okay.
Oh. On my screen, it's actually taking me all the way off. So no one in sight. Okay, so this was a team that this player just couldn't keep up with managing the team, couldn't commit to the seasons. It's been a struggle the last couple of years with the former manager to get him to engage and do anything. So this became an abandoned team, and there's no one in sight stepped up and took over the team. So he is the new manager for it, just like as I'm stepping in with my thoughts on it. So looking at his quarterbacks, you got Caleb Williams there for Chicago. So fresh, new kid there, new offense, lots of weapons. Could be a good starter for him. Then he's got Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is kind of hit and miss, hot and cold. Didn't have the greatest of years last year, but the year before was on fire, especially toward the end of the year. So if he can bounce back, great on him. Russell Wilson, we'll see what happens in Pittsburgh. If he's the backup or if he's the starter, who knows what's going to happen there. And then Bryce Young, like we talked about Bryce Young last week. Who knows if he's going to be able to pan out there in Carolina. It's not looking real promising for him there. And then in running backs, just kind of like your team, Not a lot of really good
Okay.
running backs.
Not
And
like
way
my
too
team.
many.
No, I love this
No.
running back. Look at this. This is
Oh, I don't know.
fantastic. Look at everything.
13
Okay.
running backs, though?
Okay, he might have too many. Like Dalvin Cook and
Yes.
Kenya Drake, you can both dump. But look at those first 4.
Like, I mean, he's got 2 running backs that don't even have a team.
Yeah, well, you can get rid of Dalvin Cook and Kenya Drake, but I love his first 4 running backs. Jonathan Taylor, Zamir White, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary.
Yes.
Those are great running backs for this year. Good start.
And none of them have. Well, I'll get back to my comments in a few minutes. The rest, though, are kind of like, you look at Tyler Algier, probably not going to see any time. Neiman Hines isn't going to see any time. Harris isn't going to see any time, probably.
Rodriguez, DJ Dallas.
They're probably not going to see the field. Or they do up in mop up duty. So that's kind of where I was thinking with the running backs. Way too many. He's going on to his wide receivers: T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Thomas, Thornton,
Brian Thomas, rookie. Yep.
Sky Moore. See if he plays or if he doesn't play. Mitchell, Ullman, Beckham, Cedric Tillman, Franklin. Again, a wide receiver without a team, and Russell Gage. Berrios. Again, I don't know why he's even signed with Miami. He's never going to see the ball. He's got a mix of young and older players. The only real starter I see is Cooper, and then he's got a few of number 2s on the team, like Higgins and Thomas, Mitchell and Franklin. So again, lots of wide receivers. You can probably dump some of them and try and go to the waiver wire. His tight end room is kind of like yours, like
deep but not useful.
Yeah, and 6 tight ends is a little bit excessive, I think. Yeah. Especially in a league where we don't have a premium on a tight end. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these guys are nobody. So I'm sorry to say it. This is probably the weakest position on the whole team. Goddard and Smith, I know they're only like 26, 27, but they seem to have been around forever. And the rest of the...
I like Goddard. That is, to me, Goddard, if you kind of like a Nicole Kmet situation, but better. Good, reliable tight end, but there are some more talented players ahead of you.
Yes, yeah. But that's why I say like Goddard and Smith, like when the last few years, that they just seem to have been, they've been here forever. They've been playing forever. They're like 26, 27 years old. Like, they haven't been playing forever, but it seems like they have, because they've been, in the middle of the tight end grouping for a few years now. The rest are young and unproven talents. So we'll see who's going to be the top guy. Or I would honestly start looking at, trading somebody to upgrade my tight end room. Okay. So I'll stop sharing my screen here and go back to my notes. Here, I'm not seeing. Are you still there, Mike?
Yeah, still here.
There we go. Oh, it just took forever for my camera to come back up. Okay. So my notes again. Caleb Williams, I feel, has the highest upside for all of his quarterbacks. Lawrence really needs to, because this is a 2 quarterback league, Lawrence really needs to have a bounce back year for him. And if he doesn't, my confidence level will be out the door with him. If he can't bounce back, he's done.
Okay,
and that team doesn't have a ton of talent
at quarterback position.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of question marks. It's not terrible, right? Because your fingers crossed on Trevor Lawrence, Russell Wilson, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson and Bryce Young, again, are on the low end of my confidence scale. Does Wilson start or does Wilson be the backup? Bryce Young, you and I talked about him last week. We both said we hope for the kid's sake that he can adapt to the NFL style and be successful. But I don't know if he's going to be able to. He's small, and I worry about him getting beat up. I would look to try and trade mid-season to go after another quarterback or try and get a draft pick so that you can try and snag somebody next year.
Who would you be looking to sell then if you have this team looking to sell? You said mid-season, right? So you're going to wait to see how your things play out, right? How things are going, and then you would look to sell. So who would that be?
I would probably look at maybe one of my running backs because I've got a few decent running backs.
Yeah.
If they all hit on the teams that they're all on, if they all hit, maybe I have some trade value. If Taylor bounces back.
I think he will. I think Taylor's a solid player. That would be tough to move on from.
But I might be able to trade him to get a draft pick or to get another decent quarterback if somebody has an excessive amount of quarterbacks. If Amari Cooper has another really solid start, maybe use him as trade bait too, because he's starting to age out a bit.
He's getting older, so I hope that would be a guy I'd be looking to move on from.
Yeah,
I'd try and sell Bryce Young right now.
Well, I would if I was to look for Bryce Young, I don't know that I could do it before the season starts because the confidence is so low. If he has a hot start, then like game 3, 2 or 3 games into it, then sell him off. If he has a really good hot start, because then people might start thinking, oh, okay, his rookie year, he just had to learn the system, he'll be okay. So from there, I would think, like I said, that's why I would look to see mid-season what's going on with my quarterbacks, and go from there. 13 running backs, way, way too many. Need to thin the herd out a bit. Again, like I said, especially 2 that don't even have a team yet, just dump them and get somebody off the waiver wire. They're going to get you as many points as 2 guys that aren't even going to play.
Take your shots on some rookies, stash them on your bench, and see what happens.
Yeah. I do very much like Taylor, White, and Singletary. None of them really has anybody to challenge them from a running back 2 on their team perspective. So it's not like their jobs are in jeopardy or anything like that. So he's got a good, solid running back room. Again, with my wide receivers, I put interesting wide receiver room, mix of older and younger players. But really, Cooper is the only number 1. Higgins, Thomas, Mitchell, Franklin, they're all good, solid number 2s. So if their number 1s aren't producing, they will produce at the number 2 spot and get you 9-10 points a game, which isn't too bad. But there is, again, you got the old man, I wouldn't even call it a floor. He's more like in the basement. OBJ, Gage, Barrios. These guys don't even have they don't have a floor. They are in the basement.
Getting anything from them?
Yeah, they're in the basement or they're buried under the house. So my confidence on all of those guys is gone. Period.
Are they wicked witches of the East buried under the house?
Yes, pretty much. You
take the magic shoes.
You take off their cleats, and their legs will roll up under the house, and they're gone. Although OBJ will show up somewhere else, somehow, some way. Yeah, he just doesn't disappear.
At least he didn't get a ridiculously large contract this year, like he did in Baltimore.
Yeah. We kind of beat up the tight end part of it. Again, 6 is too excessive. Go out and trade some of those guys and address for another tight end or for a running back or something like that. I don't know what you can get for some of your guys, but that's what you need to do is try and trade for top guy, or go for one in the draft. This team is truly in a rebuild, with a few pickups via trade or draft. There could be a contender in the next 3 to 4 years, I think. Needs pieces at least two of the positions, the wide receiver and the tight end, and really the quarterback. You'd probably need a third quarterback in this type of a league. No real top 2 to 3 in each. Oh yeah, he doesn't have like a true like top guy in any of his positions.
He doesn't Jonathan have Taylor.
But do you think Jonathan Taylor's going to be a top 3 running back?
Yeah, I do. I think he's going to be top 5. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be top. But... Hey, look, I'm willing to, because here's who he's competing against for that spot: Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Kyren Williams, Jonathan Taylor.
We'll see.
Right? Like that's how I see the projection wise. So I'm quite content the running back room that he has. Now, granted, Zamir White could be on a 1-year deal. He could be one and done this year. Devin Singletary essentially is on a 1-year deal, one and done.
Yes, he is.
And who was the other running back that he had that essentially
Moss?
And Zach Moss could, again, be on a 1-year deal, one and done. So he has, to me, 4 starting running backs that could be fantasy viable this year.
Yes.
And I think I saw Kendre Miller on his team too, which I liked as
I think so.
Hey, Alvin Kamara isn't going to last forever, so I think Kendre Miller could be the next man up. So not a bad room.
No, for running backs, the running back side, that's the least of my worries on his team.
And then, again, Caleb Williams. Let's hope. Let's hope for something.
Yeah. But again, like I said, outside of Jonathan Taylor, he doesn't have a top 2 or 3 quarterback. Doesn't have a top 2 or 3 wide receiver or tight end, right? Like he's this team. You can see the team was hurting because the manager that was here before
didn't actively manage.
No, he didn't. He was just there going through the motions, which is too bad. But hopefully this new guy.
I hope new guy, over. No one on site. As his razzle dazzle, his magic to it.
Yep.
I hope he gets engaged and stays engaged. That he has some fun.
Yep. So my final thoughts for this team, again, the same questions, how do I think he'll do this year? For this year, I would look to make some moves in trades or pickups, pick up some draft capital using some of the assets you have. Really try to be that spoiler guy who knocks off Go Guy Go or Don out of a playoff spot. When you guys are on the bubble,
you can knock Donnie out for me. That'd be great.
That would be awesome. You guys are sitting on the bubble thinking, "Oh, I'm going against the rookie manager. I'll knock him out, and I'll take a playoff spot." And then boom, he gets 160 points, and you get like 95, and you get kicked out of the playoff spot. That's what I'm hoping week 17 goes by.
If he does that to Donnie, that'd be great. It'd be super laughable.
Well, hopefully it would be like week 16. or not 60 because that would be the playoff spots already. But our second last week could be Donnie. Our last week against you.
Just playing upset all across the board, right? Just bringing that Reaper scythe in. And you're like, nope, no playoffs for you. Shing.
Exactly.
Okay.
How many years do I think could he become a winner in the league with some good pickups? 3, 4 years, 5 years, maybe. But it's going to take a lot of rebuilding. This team is a true rebuild team right now.
Interesting.
But like you said, if he sprinkles some magic on it, who knows, right? Like you get some good draft picks and picks up some good talent, that'll really help. Or if some of these young guys, if some of these young guys do pan out, like you said, like the whole
Troy Franklin. Adonai Mitchell,
Caleb Williams.
Right? If some of those, if they hit, there's a good start here.
Yep.
You feel this team is in full rebuild. I think this team, I don't know no one in sight. Not yet, anyways.
Yeah.
And we don't know how he plays or how he manages or what he likes or dislikes. We haven't learned any of that yet. So when I looked at Chervin's team, we've been playing with Chervin for 6 years?
Yeah, 6-7 years.
Yeah, I think it's been 6 years. Yeah. So we've gotten to know Chervin and have seen his style.
Yep.
Yeah, and we know he's a good drafter, right? We know how he can build a championship team, so we know what to expect from that. So when I looked at his team, I know based upon the depth, the fact that he sold off, he got assets, and he's on the rebuild. So I know he's rebuilding.
Yep.
No one in sight took this team over from a manager, and to me, this team is a 50-50 team. You could take it you could go either way. I could go, you know what? I'm going to trade off what I got, go get some other assets, and put myself into that rebuild mode. Or I could trade off some other, a different group of assets and try and add some veterans to my roster to try and make my playoff push. I think he's sitting on that fence of either or, because there's...
Wow.
Yeah, and not saying that he has a high percentage chance of winning based upon his roster construction, because there's some factors that, you'll have to wait and see. So to me, this is a team that I'm going to go in first 4 weeks. I'm going to see what I'm going to do with the first 4 weeks. After that, I'm going to get a good idea of who's hitting and who's not. And then I'll make my assessment at that point. Because to me, there is some really good potential anchored by some known players that could be upset and destroyed by the unknown rookies. So if you're known players like your Amari Cooper and your T. Higgins, your Trevor Lawrence, if you know those, and Dallas Goedert, okay, those are to me my primary starters. If those guys just do their thing, right, average or better, then I just need some of those rookies to rise up.
Yeah,
steal
jobs from steal plays from other players.
And that's why I think this team is sitting at the 50-50 mark, which to me is the most dangerous position to be in. Yeah, because you don't know what your team can and can't do yet.
You're right, and I like the analogy you had. It was either last year or the year before. Pardon me. How you look at your seasons in your 4-week chunks. I take my first 4 weeks. Am I in a playoff spot? Or am I 0-4 and I'm in big trouble? And then the next 4 weeks, am I still in the playoff spot or am I 0-8? Because that's going to determine how you manage your team.
Yeah.
If I'm still in a playoff bubble, pardon me, or a spot, I'm only looking to tweak. If I'm at the bottom at 0-8, I might be pulling
pulling that ripcord right now. Yeah,
I might be pulling a Harbaugh and dumping all of the Chargers except for my quarterback and rebuilding my team. Right?
Okay.
So it's interesting, like the way you looked at it and the way I looked at it. Mm-hmm. I looked at this team and I thought, okay, if I'm the brand new manager, I'm pulling a Harbaugh and I'm probably getting rid of a lot of the stuff.
You know what? This is a great highlight of why fantasy football can be so much fun, is because you have two different sets of eyes, two different perspectives. There are players that we like differently, right?
Yes.
We have a belief structure in place that allows us to say, hey, you know what? I think this guy has potential and there's some good stuff here. And you would have a differing opinion based upon factors that you believe to be true. Yeah, neither one of us is right. Neither one of us is wrong until after the season when we could look back and see what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole Jonathan Taylor thing.
Yeah.
You think a top 5. I think 7 or 8. Because the age, the injuries, stuff's starting to catch up on him. Is he going to lose? Has he lost a step?
He didn't say, yeah. Like
when he came back last year, he wasn't the starter every game.
He did earn the job back from Zach Moss. Zach Moss he was lightning in a bottle. Zach Moss was amazing. And then he took the job back, which gave me some confidence. Okay, Jonathan Taylor is going to be the dude.
Yes, but if it doesn't work, it's like CMC. You know, they're paying him all this money for 2 years. He's only had a couple of years.
Don't you say bad things about CMC. You knock on wood and you don't put that voodoo on him.
He's only had 2 years where he hasn't been injured in his whole career.
Hey, and they were great because they were with San Fran.
Yes.
The team that is typically taking the team with tons of injuries, and he somehow survives there.
It's everybody else got hurt on the team but him. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. Like, my thought process is the same thing with CMC. He's either going to be the number one, or he's going to be like the 10th or the 11th because he's injured and he's not going to get the playing time.
This is why I also believe in owning the handcuff.
Yes.
Now, I don't know who the handcuff is there. It's either going to be Evan Hall, but rumor has it it's Trey Sermon, which, good for you, Slick. You scurvy dog. You signed Trey Sermon off the waiver wire. It's actually a pretty good grab when you think about it, because if he does, it's like you spent nothing and got him off the waiver wire. Like, that's fantastic. That's
how much more would the guy have dropped? He could have got him even cheaper this week after the signing, because everybody would be like, oh, well, he's never going to see the field because CMC just got paid.
Oh, no, I'm talking about I'm sorry. I was talking about Jonathan Taylor's backup.
Oh, sorry.
So Trey Sermon and Evan Hall. Elijah Mitchell, I think, is the number one backup for CMC.
Oh, yeah.
And they have some other rookies there, other young guys that are just kind of like fillers.
Yeah.
But good stuff.
So, you're right, 100%. That's the whole handcuff stuff. I was, for the many years, I didn't believe in it. I'm still on the fence. But it's
like Santa Claus. It's true if you believe, but if you don't believe, it's not real.
Yes. And for all you kids listening, he is real.
As long as you believe, he's real.
If I think it depends on the situation where the handcuff makes sense. If the guy is a superstar but does have that injury bug, 100%.
But there's also some handcuffs that are worth having, that are just really good handcuffs.
True.
But to me, Blake Corum is a handcuff to Kyron Williams, but I want that handcuff.
Yeah.
That's a good handcuff to have.
You look at like Kansas City, right?
Yeah. No, I'm good.
The backup for Pacheco.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Nope.
Yeah, like nobody wants him. Right? The second backup is, I don't even know who it is.
Yeah, well, it's not Jerick McKinnon, but if it was, I'd own Jerick McKinnon over Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
But that's just the thing, right? Like, in some situations, is the backup even worth having? Is the handcuff worth having even? Right?
Maybe that's a conversation we should save for another day, because I think we could really expand on it, go through all 32 teams and try and figure out who the handcuff is. Now, granted, this time of year would be difficult to determine who all the handcuffs are, because
you would need to do that
OTAs.
In camp.
Yeah, we'd have to be closer to the beginning of the year. But like, think about this, like Devin Singletary. Well, he's a de facto starter.
Yes. Who's
produced, but I can't think of a guy who I'd want there as a backup yet.
No. Like the Jets even, right? Like,
Moss Holland or nothing.
Yeah, right. Like, what's his name there? Cook did nothing there as the backup.
Well, he's gone. He doesn't have a job anymore.
I know but last year he did nothing.
Yeah,
everybody would have been like, "Oh my God, get Cook, get Cook." But
there's some teams that have handcuffs that you want. There's some teams that have handcuffs that you need, and there's other teams that you could just utterly skip over.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And just to remind everybody, the waiver wire still sucks. There's still nobody out there. There's still nothing worth grabbing.
Yep, not in this league. Nope.
Not in this league. We have a ton of depth, so it's really difficult to to go to the waiver wire until the season starts, and then you start seeing some of those diamonds in the rough floating to the surface.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Like guys will have to drop some players to get to their roster limit. Like the 13 running backs that this team has. He's not going to carry 13 running backs into the full season, I don't think.
No, definitely not. Well, there's two of them that don't have jobs.
Yeah. So. But even if they did sign, maybe they do become a diamond in the rough for somebody else. But, yeah, we'll see a lot more stuff on the waiver wire once it camps and teams start paring down to their 53-man roster.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? We just put this one to bed. Let's have a look at our next adventure.
Yes.
No Fun League?
Sure. I will bring it up and I'll give you the teams to put on the wheel of death.
Already one step ahead of you, my friend.
Oh, okay. And you took Chervin off of it and Donnie off of it?
Yep.
Beauty.
So here's our new list. So the No Fun League is a 10-team half-point PPR kick return league.
I've never taken advantage of a kick return.
That's because you only get 1 point for every 100 yards in kick returning. It's like, what kind of scoring is that?
Yeah.
It's a kick return league.
You're a co-commissioner.
Oh, no, I am now the sole commissioner. Ron Mexico relinquished
let's make some changes on that then.
Yeah, I thought that was absolutely hilarious when I was going through and updating the bylaws after becoming commissioner and reading through what was there. Did you know that from the get-go, our league was supposed to be playing against a league median? Do you know what that is?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so league median, and I'm actually really interested in this. It's something I would like to propose to the league. Maybe not this year, but I'm going to talk about it. The league median is where everybody plays two matchups a week. You play against the team you're matching up against, and then you play the league average. So that means there'll be 5 teams that get a win and 5 teams that get a loss. Because once you have everybody's averages, you play against that league average. And what that does is, and particularly in this league, let's say you go on a run for 5 weeks in a row where you are the second highest scoring team in the league, but you happen to go up against the highest scoring team in the league for 5 weeks in a row. That's 5 losses you just suffered, but you now have the most fantasy points of any team in the league. Well, you're now offset because you're always going to get an extra win. I'm 5-5. I'm not 0-5. I'm 5-5. Whereas the teams that fall below that could be 0-2 or 1-1.
Interesting.
It is interesting. I do like that. And I've seen a few other leagues out there and people talk about the median. And I was like, it's kind of interesting. I think it could present a very interesting element in addition to our league. Now, granted, we've made some significant changes this year. I don't want to go overboard and push too many, especially when we're still getting used to what's already here. But it is something I'm going to bring up at some point in the future for us to talk about.
For sure.
All right. Anyways, these are the teams that we have not talked about, that are not us, and that are left in this league, because we do have quite a few dudes that we share many leagues with. And if you are ready, sir, I'm going to spin the wheel for you.
For sure.
Here we go. Oh, former Ron Mexico. You got that captured? All right, here we go. My spin. Oh, let it be Juan. Let it be Juan.
No.
Oh, it's not. I was hoping it was Juan so I could really trash talk and dunk on this team. I mean, give us some good advice. But I'll be a bit more gentler with It's Peeps because we're not as close.
Yeah. Well, It's Peeps is pretty active.
He is. He's
lots of trade offers, and some of them are a little bit crazy, but he does try to.
He is active.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just not super close friendship wise. I don't know how far I can push the poking and the ribbing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, now that we're getting close to the end of the show, we are going to. You've already captured those notes.
Yes, I did.
Go. So next week, folks, we're going to get back together. It's going to be the No Fun League. We are going to be having a look at It's Peeps and I've already forgotten the other name.
Ron Mexico.
Ron Mexico. All right.
And then we get into the week after, which is our
Poor
league.
Man.
Poor Man.
Yeah.
And I hope I get either Juan or Don. Oh, we already had Donnie.
We already had Donnie. So you can't get Donnie. We already did Donnie. So Juan's left up for grabs. Gabriel.
Juan or Marvin.
Chervin's off the list.
Yeah.
So we get to be Chervin. So that'll be a good one. It's nice to roast your friends, right?
Or Gabe.
Gabriel. Yeah. Josh. Right, Slick. There's some excellent choices of how we're going to verbally upset our friends.
Yes.
All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for sticking with us tonight. It's been lots of fun. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as we did. It is June. The summer months are coming. Hopefully you guys got some good summer plans. Get out there, have some fun. Because remember, from one poor man to another, if it's not fun, it is not worth doing. Good night, everybody.
Have a great week, everyone.